So in this lesson, we are going to talk about the powers of Congress. And these powers are going to fall into three broad areas. Congress has lawmaking powers, budgeting powers, and then exercising oversight of the federal bureaucracy and other public officials. So the way they are able to check other branches of the government. So powers of Congress. Congress has those enumerated powers, and we've talked about those before, that are given to them directly by the Constitution. So in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, these are going to include collecting taxes, coining money, declaring war, maintaining the armed forces, borrowing money, regulating commerce with foreign nations and among several states. Okay, so those are some of those enumerated powers. Now, Congress also has implied powers, and these are not stated specifically in the Constitution, but are covered by that necessary and proper clause that we've already talked about. So it gives Congress the power to make laws that are necessary for carrying out those enumerated powers. So, for example, Congress is given that enumerated power to collect taxes, so it is implied that Congress also has the power to create a budget, a federal budget, every year. So these are just some of those enumerated powers of Congress that we've talked about. You can look at this chart and just be more familiar with all of the different powers of Congress. So let's get into the budgeting process. So Congress actually sets the budget. So the president will propose a budget, Congress will look it over, and they are the ones that have the final say on the federal budget. They also have a say on the appropriation of funds, which can affect the bureaucracy. We're going to get into the bureaucracy more in a later unit, some of those federal agencies, but these are agencies that are dependent on that federal funding. So Congress has a lot of power in deciding which agencies get which funding. This is also going to bring in the idea of pork barrel spending, okay? And this is defined as directing specific funds to projects within districts or states. And this is done through earmarks, which are just add-ons to pieces of legislation. Okay, so it's when funds are directed for a very specific purpose. So federal dollars are spent every year on construction projects, highway repair, new bridges, national museums, parks, university research grants, so on and so forth. So members of Congress are going to want to try to send those federal dollars back to their district, who they're representing. And some people will call this bringing home the bacon. So that's where this name pork barrel spending comes from. Now, log rolling is defined as trading votes to get earmarks passed into legislation. So this is an example, of earmarks right here. So funding, federal funding, that is directed to specific projects within specific states. Okay, so that's an example of earmarks. Now, earmarks were banned by President Obama in 2011. He said that he would veto any bill that had earmarks on it. Okay, so pork barrel spending is somewhat frowned upon. And this is just, it's pork barrel spending when, and you all can read this chart. Okay, so let's look at oversight. So this is efforts by Congress to ensure the executive branch and its officials are acting legally and in accordance with congressional goals. Okay, so this is how they are going to check the other branches of government, especially the executive branch. So how do they work with the executive branch? Well, the president does not have the power to declare war. That goes to Congress. They also ratify treaties. So the president can negotiate treaties with foreign countries, but the Senate has to ratify them. Okay, so a 2/3 vote in the Senate to ratify treaties. Now they also have to work with the judicial branch. Congress sets the number of justices on the Supreme Court, which is currently at 9. And the Senate also confirms Supreme Court nominees. So the president will appoint someone or choose someone that they want to fill any vacant seat on the Supreme Court. And the Senate, again, has to confirm those nominees. Okay, so this is a way of Congress checking other branches of government. Now, Congress also has the power of impeachment, okay? And this is really important in terms of how they can check the executive branch or other federal officials. Now, the standard for impeachment is treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Okay, so think back to when President Trump was impeached, because he was in fact impeached, he just wasn't removed from office. They discussed bribery and other high crimes among those crimes for which he was impeached. Okay, so the House can vote to impeach. Okay, so impeachment starts in the House of Representatives. They bring up those charges, the impeachment charges, and then there will be a trial in the Senate. Okay, so House brings up the charges, then it goes to the Senate where they will hold a trial to try to determine whether or not the president or other federal official actually committed these crimes. Now, in President Trump's case, he was in fact impeached by the House. However, the Senate did not vote to remove him from office. Bill Clinton is another example of a president who was impeached. Again, he was impeached in the House of Representatives, but was not removed from office by the Senate. So 2/3 of the Senate would have to vote to remove an official from office. And that's where we're going to stop with this lesson.